In the depths of space, the eternal silence of the solar system was shattered by a shrill, painful sound. What could have been mistaken as a warning was, in reality, something so much more. It was a message of peace. We are here, we come in peace. 2 planets received the message, though only one could decipher the true meaning. Gallifrey and Earth. This period of history for humanity was in a pocket of constant flux. The division had decided that the best course of action would be to send an agent to oversee the proceedings. Sol Pado, who was one of the main division overseers, would immediately choose their agent with the most experience, naturally. A member of the Supreme Council and a founder of their people, although that information was strictly classified. To Sol Pado, they were Tecteun's little pet and nothing else. The message originated from the planet Mars. The native ice warriors slept beneath the surface, silent and hidden. In orbit, a large disc-shaped starship loomed over the planet, casting a sizable shadow over a large percentage of the world below. This would be the place to rendezvous. The surface of a neutral planet. In the bowels of the ship, a time capsule materialized. A rush of air followed as the doors slid open. Out stepped an older man, chiseled features under a black tricorn hat. A white wig, a wedding ring, and a period outfit completed the look. As he peered around his surroundings, he clenched his fists. The environment was made to resemble the capital of Gallifrey. Golden beams, the towns divided by class, the deadly drylands could be seen through the exits, ornate statues, the orange, snow-capped mountains in the distance. "I assure you this facade is not necessary," the other called.
"Apologies,"
a booming voice echoed. The surroundings melted into their natural state, a beautiful chamber that seemed to stretch to infinity, a brilliant white light shining in the distance. The other remained still, while the source of the voices faded into reality. 3 tall aliens stood before him. Their blue faces looked twisted and deformed, while the blue hair was styled in asymmetric bobs.
"You are the first representative?"
the first alien asked, keeping his distance. The other nodded. The other was trained in how to deal with situations such as these. As a member of the Supreme Council and an experienced ambassador for his people, the other was trained in how to deal with situations such as these. He knew exactly what to say and how to say it, even if he had a strong hatred for representing such a corrupt race as the Time Lords. After how the Lord President's guards slaughtered his family long ago, it was surprising that he would still choose to represent such a species. But he still complied. I represent the Time Lords of Gallifrey. I'm here to observe this moment in history and offer translations between members. The second alien's head tilted.
"They will not understand us."
Correct. I have the advantage of a universal translator integrated into my ship.
"Understood,"
the first replied.
"Which species are we to meet?"
The other put his hands behind his back. The human race, primitive. Only recently have they become spacefaring. So far, they have only reached their moon and the second planet beyond their own, the planet below us.
"Understood,"
the first said. The third alien spoke up for the first time.
"Describe these humans."
The defender of humanity, the other was literally lifetimes away. The other had had several encounters with humanity before, and each time, a cynical mindset had developed. They are a race that has far to go. They still obsess over war and material wealth. For a brief moment while discussing the subject, it reminded him of when he was a soldier himself, fighting for Gallifrey as a respected trooper, and, in a way, the wars he has fought in still plague his mind to this day. It would be centuries before they evolve for the better without help, he continued. The third alien's bulbous eyes blinked.
"Would they accept our aid?"
I believe so. They are primitive but not stupid. The other hoped that was still true. The first alien stood firm.
"Very well. We shall descend to the planet below and await the humans."
The other placed his hand on his ship's door. I shall get prepared. Gallifreyan biology does not mesh well with the Martian environment. Meanwhile, a ship from Earth was on the path to the rendezvous. The two unknowing astronauts sat in the cockpit of Mars Probe 6, in constant touch with Control. Control to Mars Probe 6. You are now on the final approach to Mars. Jim Daniels adjusted the propulsion system. Understood, Control. Adjusting speed down to 5.1. Carrington smiled as he peered out of the viewport. There she is, the red planet. Any sign of the source of the signal? Jim asked. The ship was hidden behind an invisibility screen. Carrington could see nothing. Nothing in orbit. Jim pulled his mouthpiece closer to his face. Space Control from Mars Probe 6, ready to begin the landing procedure. After a beep, the voice of Space Control replied. Acknowledged. A pang of excitement was felt between the two astronauts. The planet grew in size as the ship approached. It took a swift, tense half an hour for the ship to land. Daniels and Carrington checked the probe systems and proceeded to put their helmets on, checking each other as they sealed them. Ready, Jim? Ready. They lifted themselves out from their seats and opened the hatch. Jim looked around at what he expected to be a Martian landscape. Wait, what? Instead of the lifeless red wasteland, he saw greenery, blue sky, and plant life. This was like a memory. The walled gardens of Helmsley, where astronaut Daniels had visited before the mission. This is impossible, Daniels said as he stepped through the gardens. Carrington knelt down, running his hands across the ground. Yeah, here we are. The two astronauts jumped as a sound pierced their heads. It was a garbled mess of half-formed vowels. What was that? Daniels closed his eyes and felt a momentary stab of pain. I've no idea. Carrington jumped as he saw a figure stand before them. The humanoid figure was clad in a bronze metal spacesuit. Do not worry, you are not in danger. Who are you? Daniels asked. I am an observer, the other spoke through his helmet. I am here to translate and be an impartial figure in this first contact. As he spoke, the three aliens appeared behind him. Carrington and Daniels recoiled at the sight of the aliens' melted faces. It was a relief their helmets were tinted, obscuring their faces. They do not wish you harm, the other continued. The alien spoke as he translated. They wish to offer you the hand of friendship. Daniels breathed heavily, a mix of nerves and excitement. If that's the case, he extended his hand. Then let this be the first step to peace between us and your race. The other watched the human present his hand. He glanced at the first alien and nodded. Hesitantly, the alien reached out to Daniels' hand with a sincere smile. In the span of a second, everything fell apart. As soon as the alien touched Jim's hand, there was a blinding flash of red. Carrington covered his eyes for a moment. When they opened again, he saw Jim's lifeless body on the floor. The earthly surroundings faded away, the harsh Martian landscape surrounding him. Carrington stayed in place for a moment. The image of his friend's corpse lay out in front of the aliens. The visor had shattered, his face being affected by the Martian atmosphere. A combination of hate and fear enveloped Carrington. He wanted to charge at these aliens and their accomplice, grab the nearest rock and split their heads open. But then he might die too. They killed Jim simply by touching him. Instead, he made a run for Mars Probe 6. As the ship took off, the aliens, who had been glued to the spot, finally moved.
We didn't mean...
The first began. The other sighed. You did not know. The second spoke next.
What shall we do now?
Maybe you should try again. If you send another signal, Gallifrey will respond. But I would advise avoiding humanity for a while. The trio of aliens exchanged mournful glances.
Will humanity accept such a thing?
All the other could do is shrug. Well, we can but hope. He began to slowly back away. As the other returned to his ship, he pondered the gravity of his failure. In the end, it would be between the humans and the ambassadors. As he returned to Gallifrey with the somber news, he found himself possessing a faint slither of hope. Fail once, try again. With any luck, with any hope, humanity would succeed a second time. One day. Yes. One day.